Hello. Alright, alright. Okay. That's that. 38. I'm quite sure. Right. So, what to draw today? I think I want to see what you come up with. Hey narrator, Amir Levy, how's it going? Soul is Grey. How's it going? Dr. Sheldon, what up? So give me a suggestion of topic. Hey Yasuki, how's it going? So for those who are new, the general idea is give me a suggestions. I will roll a dice and let the Lady Luck decide, and I'll start a timer and draw something. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Bruno Romanos with the amazingly powerful number 9. Oh, why don't you have the number 9? You should have a number 9. Oh, maybe it'll switch at some point. Hey, narrator. So we got the Dream Thief, awesome topic. Butler of Infestation, very interesting. Hades Pony, I guess. Hell Postman, that's 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Because why not? Absolutely. Alright. So let's roll and let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4. It was number 4, which was 1, 2, 3, 4. Hell Postman. Ah, that's pretty cool. Hell Postman. Hell Postman. I guess Hell's Postman. Or a Hell Postman. Hell's Postman. Oh, I need to write who won. Who got the dice roll. Hey, Martha. You are new. Congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, this is absolutely your first topic. Oh, that's interesting. Awesome. Nice way to present yourself by going, you snagging the topic. All right. I got an idea. How to do that? All right. Okay. I got it. I switched the idea. I had another idea, but I felt like it's gonna be a little bit weird, so I'm gonna do the other one. So it's gonna be a quite straightforward topic. It's gonna be like a or rendition of the topic rather. It's gonna be like a zombie burning, reading the mail, like who to put where. That's the general idea. That's what I'm gonna go for. Hey, Captain Boss, Cosmoverse, how's it going? So I'll happily inform you guys. Almost all judges for the Unreal Bjornament have rendered their decisions. I'm waiting for, I think for two of the remaining judges to cast their vote. But it seems like we are on track. Let's do a strange composition. I feel like the square aspect is cool and all, but let's switch the golden ratio around a bit. Let's do it all like that, so it's just kind of faint idea behind it. Because I got some ideas of I want to do the flames going back. Hey, Woody Breakfast. I'm fine, Captain Boss. Thank you. How are you? Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right. Okay. All right. Focal point will be the fire. Yeah, it was by a new viewer, Martha. I'm never sure about how to say that. I assume it's Chinese surname. Zhu? Tzu? The Swede in me have no idea how to pronounce it. Shoe. Like shoe. Like what you have on your feet. But Shudaiga. Shudaiga? No, it's too alien. It's too alien for my native tongue. Like I've not I mean I could definitely learn. Absolutely. But like the default setting is like nope, I have no idea. I would love to know though. I mean I'm pretty good with languages in general. It's just that I don't have an exposure to like the how to pronunciations. Shudaiga, maybe. I mean, much like any like Asian wouldn't pronounce Swedish flawlessly without practice, you know. The sounds we're making is too alien. It's, you know, it's standard for any significantly different language. The sounds we're making is too different. But yeah, it's good stuff. There was someone on by the way, someone on YouTube was asking like how do you study materials the best way, like that they get lost in learning how to do the materials. And I was thinking about that. Hey Morphia or Morphia. I was thinking about that a little bit yesterday, or ever since I read that comment. I was like, what would be a great way to explain materials and how to learn it? And I struggled a bit trying to formulate the answer to that person on YouTube who asked me that question. Because how do you study materials? You know, it's different for everyone. Martha, yeah, pronunciation. But yeah, so I struggled kind of to define it because it's so personal, like the how you learn and what you should learn and so on. Narrator, that's pretty cool. Yeah, for me, like Asian or Mandarin and Cantonese, it sounds amazing. I would love to be able to talk like that those languages. But yeah, if I would mimic it, I would just sound drunk unless I practice it. But I do find that like Chinese and Mandarin and Cantonese and so on, all those languages from over there, that area, and like Japanese and so on. It's a beautiful languages. It's so alien to Swedish and English. I find it quite beautiful. Have a great day, Abu, the breakfast. Good luck with the meeting. Ray Z1. I haven't set the brushes, but that's a good point. I'll make a note. I will make a brushes command. I will try to remember it because I don't have a pencil here. Oh, you just had a job interview, Kirill. That's awesome. Do you want to share for who? Anyways, let's get back to the topic of materials, right? So I was thinking about like how should I help this person who wants to learn about how to study more materials? Like the person was struggling grasping the kind of the idea of learning to do materials better. Oh yeah, small dev studio in Kiev. That's awesome. Hopefully you'll get it, man. You got the skills. I'd say you got the skills to do it. No, I mean you can't go big until you start to learn to walk before you run and all that. Erica Ricky, how's it going? Anyways, so let's get back to the topic of trying to help the guy ask or person. I don't know if it's a guy. I think it was a guy, judging by the avatar. Hey, Weeping Jay. Yeah. Anyway, so I was struggling like about materials and explaining it, like I've said now 57,000 times. But what I got to in the end was, first of all, you have to be a little bit of a scientist when you want to study materials. But you also need to consider what the materials are that you're trying to mimic, because what you're doing is you're not reproducing the material in your paintings. The topic, Kirill, is down far right. It's Hell's Postman. Anyway, so you're not reproducing the material. You're reproducing or you're mimicking the behavior of the material in a simplified way that can explain what you're trying to show. So I'm making fire at the moment, or magical fire. That doesn't exist, but because we are using symbols as means to explain what we're trying to do, to communicate rather, you have to consider what it is that you're trying to communicate. So in this instance, let's take fire. Like what is fire? So first of all, you need to consider what fire does. Okay, it is burning, right? It's ignition. It's a heat source and an element that burns up one material, and turns it into a gas, I guess, and also a release of energy. So you can consider like what happens to the material when it's burning. What color is the fire, depending on temperature, right? And temperature is a big deal. How bright does fire shine? And all these little things. You need to be a little bit of a scientist to or do some research about fire, right? So that you understand the basics of fire, or basics of glass, or basics of jelly, or basics of water or rock or whatever material you're trying to mimic, right? And when you've done that, when you've done like the generic research, let's say we can also do with glass. Let's say you want to understand how do you paint glass. You need to consider the refraction, the light, the surface quality, how smooth the glass surface is versus a matte object, and so on. Like it's almost like a checklist. Like, is the material shiny? Yes, no. Is the material smooth? Yes, no. But those are two usually correlated, smooth and shiny, because of how the surface works. And so on. But like I said, you also need to consider if you're gonna do fire, for example, in this instance, how do you communicate fire? What's fire for you? That's also a big thing you need to consider when you're doing a study of, let's say, fire. Do you like fire that's aggressive, or is it like meek, like a what's it called when it's just like a small tiny flame at the bottom of like a grass fire? It's just smoldering. Character mask, yeah, that's true. Hey, Dame David, how's it going? Gria, what up? So let's take fire, right? I like fire that's like trailing, but I also like fire that comes across as really, really strong, like powerful fire. Like it's almost like a nuclear power source. Like it's strength, right? Like the element of a god. That's how I like to portray fire. Like it needs to feel like if you would put your finger in there, you would lose it instantly. That's how I like my fire. But then also, like, how does fire behave? How does fire change in hue depending on temperature? So you need to observe, you need to understand, you need to do some science in terms of fire. The hotter a fire is, the whiter or bluer the flame goes. So something that is burning at low energy level or temperature level, and with a lot of combustible material, with like a dirty flame, that causes like black smoke, very red flame. Like that's why like all the explosions in movies, they are petrol fires. They're high ignition, dirty burn, to have a very yellow, bulbous flame that's like quick ignition, and then lots of black smoke because it's a dirty source of energy. Hey, Alessandra, Alessandro Patria, how's it going? Erika Ricky, yeah. But yeah, so you need to consider all these things when you're doing your study, but most of all, you need to understand the thing you're studying, the material you're studying. So if you want to understand rock, like what is rock? Is it solid? Is it porous? Is it smooth? Is it there's different kinds of rocks. Is it marble? I would consider marble a rock. And also, like with anything that is transparent or degree of transparency, how pure is that material? That's where the science and artist has to converge. Like, what do you choose to convey in the material as an artist? But like with anything, like especially let's take, like, I have a martial art background. Like, as I would see it when I practiced, I did the drills of martial arts over and over and over, the moves, the karate punch or whatever, over and over and over until the movement itself was drilled into my subconscious. And then I could adapt and use those moves whenever I saw fit and whenever I decided to do that technique. But I could also change the technique depending on which situation I was in, right? So it's the same with like studying a material. You need to understand the material as it is over and over and over again. Let's take glass or water. How there's a lens distortion when you're in water and out of water because of the fact like how water interacts with your eye and so on, and like how clear the water is will inform you how much you can see, how much of the shadows will or light will fall, you know, how distance occlusion, you know, and all these things. You have to understand it, and then when you fully understand it, or you have studied it and you're grasping it more than you before you did the study, now it's time for you to apply it, right? So when you apply it, you take the knowledge you have understood and you practice applying it to your own studies or your own pains or your own decision making of what fire is in this instance, right? So for me, I have done a lot of studies of fire. So at the moment when I'm doing the Hell's Postman here, I don't need to go and look up what temperature do I want the fire to look like. How does fire trail off when it is being hit by air? I already know all this to some degree, right? I'm confident in my knowledge about the behavior of fire. So I know that I can just go on autopilot. I can trust my knowledge and my artistic decision making to convey fire. But that's the thing. I know how fire works. I mean, I could do really realistic renditions of fire, but I choose not to, right? I've understood the principles of fire, but I want to make fire now my way of how I see it, of how I want to express my understanding of it. But like with all things in art related, you have to understand it before you can stylize it, right? That's where a lot of people make mistakes when it comes to stylization. It's like, no, I know it's a mistake, but it's my artistic choice. You know, it's like, well, no, it's not. Because the decision you've made to make it stylization is clearly based on lack of information rather than information, and you choose to include, or what's the opposite of include? Disclude? Omit? I guess omit information through your artistic lens. It's very evident when people, let's say, do stylized proportions the wrong way because they don't understand the basis of the real anatomy and then decide where they want to do the stylization. Exclude, include. That's true. That's correct. Thank you. Well, yeah, how to do those studies with material? I would say the the spheres or the boxes of material. I've done them on this stream. It's just a flashier way to kind of present the study. You can do the study on in a sketchbook on a shitty piece of paper, on lined paper. What's important is just you understand how it works. But when you present it in a way, let's say, you know, like cube lineup. Let me try to find it. I need to just make sure that I don't accidentally show something I shouldn't. So I switch off the screen. Sorry about that. Because I don't want to go back and edit something. So here is one warm-up I did. Where it's episode 100, so you can go to the forum and backtrack if you want to see the episode. But more or less, it gives you more opportunity to present the behavior of the material, like the crystal jelly passes light through it, so it shines on the ground. You have more scope to let me put it over here while I doodle over here. So it will present you a more opportunity to explain to yourself and the viewer how much you know about the material in itself. So, for example, obviously these are done, the jelly one, or the lava and so on, it's done with no reference, right? It's done all those three within 30 minutes. It was a warm-up. But nevertheless, it's about understanding how, like a checklist of the material behavior, like the jelly is. It's see-through, semi-transparent, so we need to see the backsides of the cube. But it is not clear as water, like clean water, so it has to diffuse the information, and it has to spread the information around, so it's not the clear lines inside the cube, because it has grains in it. It's not a clean substance, and so on and so on. And one good way of doing it is when you do the study, break down what you're studying. Let's take ice. So ice is frozen water. It's crystals, more or less. Frozen water becomes crystals. So it needs to be angular. The ice needs to have angles in it. It has to, if it breaks, it shatters like glass, more or less, because it's crystal based. So it doesn't break. It breaks the weakest point of the crystal structure, unless you apply lots of force, right? Then you break across the crystals. But that's why ice shatters. You see cracks in ice. Martha, no problem. Underneath the stream window, there's a fire starter link. If you go there, there's a huge warm-up archive if you want to. Season 4. If you want to go for season 2, 3, 2, and 1, it's on YouTube underneath. But that's just links to the episodes. So it's a little bit harder to figure out what goes where. But yeah, so when you're doing these material studies, understand what you want to learn from it. And don't just copy what you see, because that you will never, well, you will learn eventually, but it's going to take way too long to learn. You won't learn in an efficient manner. So my recommendation is, I'm going to go away from that. So my recommendation is do a focused study of what you need to learn. What study of, what material do you want to brush up on? Or are you going to make a dragon? Take the opportunity to, when you're using your imagination and making that dragon, and it's time to make the fire, go look up fire, and how, like examples of that type of fire you want to showcase. So let's say you want the dragon to shoot fire like a beam. Is it like a welder's torch type beam, high intensity, high pressure, like gas fire? Or is it like a World War II flamethrower, where it's kind of like petrol-based fire? So it has lots of big yellow colors, and it's very bulbous flames, and there's a lot of black smoke due to the fact that it's dirty energy source. Is all these little things do inform what you need to look out for and what you want to implement. Or you just go fire, and you go fireplace, and you paint that, but then you're practicing the wrong kind of thing if you don't understand what you want to learn. So it's the same with anatomy. Like you can copy bodies, you know, until you die, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll learn anatomy. You know, you'll just learn how to copy things really, really well. For as an example, how I learned anatomy, because I'm self-taught, right? Was I did lots of observational drawings. Life drawing is essential to understand anatomy for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons is that you can move. You have 3D vision, right? You have two eyes, and you can see a form turn in space by you just shifting your position. And that means you'll pick up form way faster than a 2D representation in a photo, because you can't tilt your head and you won't see the parallaxing of the body shapes or turning of the form. And secondly is, for me, what I did was I wanted to implement the knowledge, right? So what I did was I drew from imagination as close to reality as I could without looking at reference. And then when I was finished exercising my imagination, be it topic-wise or anatomy-wise, you know, like trying to push it as far as I could take it to reality. Like, okay, I'm starting to fail here. I have to call it finished. So I finished it, and then I looked at the biggest mistakes I've done. Like, okay, the shoulder or the legs are clearly messed up. I don't know how the knee joint works. Like, how does that even... I don't know. So what I did was I went to look at anatomical reference. How does a knee work? Where are the shapes? Where are the muscles going actually? And I did a study where I drew the muscles. Where I drew the knee from the side. I drew the knee from the front, and try to understand, like, oh, okay, it's the one joint that goes in like that, the one joint in like that, and then the kneecap slides on top, you know, attached to the joint is like attached to this side of the leg, and the sinew and all these things, right? And so then next time I drew from my imagination some monster or some dude doing a karate kick with a bent leg, I was like, oh yeah, that muscle goes over here. Oh yeah, I remember. Like the knee is a little bit more box-like than the thigh, and so on. And that's how you did it, how I did it, right? So I drew from imagination as much as I could, until I failed, and then I went to look at real life example so that I could plug the holes in my knowledge. By all means, I'm not saying I'm like the art master. Of anatomy. I'm just saying that's how I learned to study, be it materials or anatomy or colors. Is I would do my voice, right? How I looked at colors, how I looked at fire, how I looked at anatomy or whatever. And then I looked at reality to plug where my mind actually doesn't understand what I'm trying to do. And then learning that and then filtering it again through my imagination or my taste. So I know that my anatomy is not realistically accurate. It's like there's flaws in there for sure. But there's also lots of flavor from me in that. And I think at the end of the day, that would probably trump super realism. I mean, depending on where you want to go, of course. But for me and what I do on a daily basis, having a solid understanding of how it works, being filtered through an artistic lens, is a lot more significant and successful than hyperrealism. That's beautiful, just beautiful to look at. I mean, I'm not shitting on fine art at all. I'm just saying in my day-to-day life, I gain a lot more from being the first example than the last. How would you study line art? The same. break down what is line art. You know, how does it work? Why does it work the way it does? You know, like a line representation of form. How do you, you know, how do you show form without value, just line? So then you need to study how that works, and then you need to study it. You know, look at other examples. How does that work? And then you need to understand it, and then you filter it through your artistic sensibilities. And how do you want to draw lines? Some people draw single width line, some do weighted line, some do brush pen, some do ballpoint pen. None of them are wrong, right? All of them are based on how you want to do it. But if you don't study it, and if you don't understand the principles of it, how can you make those decisions, right? Gria, yeah, absolutely. For me, studies are like the drills in martial arts when you're just standing and making the moves like a human robot, bup, 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 and until you learn them, and then you have a fight, right? And then you're using those fights and you're adapting them and you're changing them as like, oh shit, he's over there. I can't make the clean like straight move that I practiced 1,000 times. I need to alter it so it's an elbow instead or whatever. You can't practice a punch while someone is trying to punch you in the face, right? So it's the same with studies for me, and using my imagination in an illustration is like illustrations. There's not time to do studies unless you're failing at it and you're like, oh shit, why did I do fire? I have no idea how to do fire, so it's time to do some studies while I'm making the illustration because it's got to be done, right? But that's a little bit different. But yeah. And besides, when you're doing your personal idea and illustration and not doing studies, you're having fun, regardless of your skill level. Gria, nice. All right, time is up. I'm ranting far beyond my deadline. Well, now we're pretty much on time. Let's see who we can raid. Who's doing something interesting? Tim? What's Tim doing? We raided him yesterday. Alright, let's go and give Christopher Kant some love. Yeah. Oh, now you got the... Yeah. So, as per usual, thank you everyone for coming. It was a fantastic stream. I loved interacting with you guys. Thank you for all your comments and thoughts. It was really interesting. So thank you for the topic, Martha. Welcome to the stream. As per usual, I'm going to do the outro and then switch us over. So hang tight. See you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Good night if you're that part of the world. Tools.